one thing I do at times is turn people into monsters that they're not. You hear most of this from kids in school. That teacher is so mean to us.
Yeah.
Right? You remember saying that too.
Yeah.
Like, they're the meanest teacher, and they give us so much homework, and they seem to always pick on me, or whatever it might be. They're just a terrible teacher. That's what I call monster building. All right? And if you're monster building, you're bearing a false witness. That doctor's this, or this person's that, or, just kind of adding to their personality and their character that might not be real, might not be truthful, but you're just kind of adding a little bit more to their profile that shouldn't be there. Okay? If you're doing that, well, that's a sign also that you may be taking just that person in your life for granted as well. Because sometimes, if you remember, I don't want to forget Tyler. There's a science teacher up at Gem State, Mr. Wiley. Anyone ever have Mr. Wiley as a teacher? Might be a couple of you here. But he's like, Daddy's the worst teacher ever. I mean, every day he'd come home and he was the worst. I mean, it's just always these bad things about this guy. By the time he was a senior, he's like, Dad, he's the best teacher at Gem State. He really is the best teacher. He teaches so well, and he's just, everything changed. The guy didn't change. He didn't change at all. But Tyler's perception of him did. And where, if his perception of him maybe would have been a little bit different earlier, he would have had a greater time with him and a better experience with him. So for people that are in our lives, sometimes we, even the ones that we're not close to, still take them for granted. They're there for a reason. Right? And I think, Ray, you guys sang about that this morning in one of your songs, about all things work together for our good. That includes people that, we don't particularly favor. Okay? Let's go backward. 8. You shall not steal. Verse 15. You shall not steal. So, all right, let's do a little truth thing here, right? Who stole before? Let's do it. Come on. Let's have some.
Everybody.
Right, stole. Raise your hand high. Be proud of it. You stole it. You're a sinner. Sinners are going to heaven, people. Right? So, you stole. Never forget being in the store. Man, we stole all the time from this little store. We walk down the street, and we bring my mom's 10-cent, 5-cent cans in every morning. And we never have enough money, though. And so, I'd stick the Milky Way bar in my pocket, or stick this in my pocket. And after months of that, finally the lady's like, "What's in your pocket?" I was in 4th grade at the time. I'm like, "Nothing." And she's like, "No, you put something in your pocket." I'm like, I put my Milky Way in my bar in my pocket before I left. And she's like, "No, you stole that." I'm like, "Fine, whatever, you can have it back." And I was totally guilty. But that scared the death out of me.
Yeah.
Right? Really scared me. I think that when we find ourselves stealing, even as a kid, we're just not grateful. Or finding time, I'd say not grateful, or taking things for granted that we have. And maybe it's because, at least in my life, I didn't have anyone sit there saying, "Hey, this is what we have, this is what God's given us, and this is what we can be happy with. We have just what we need right now." But I felt like we needed more to be like, the rest of the kids and stuff. All right, going down, adultery. Oh, geez, do I have to explain that? Do I even have to explain that? And it's interesting, coveting, false witness, stealing, that's all in adultery also, right? Every single one of those principles are in adultery. And so, guilty in my life. No one usually will raise their hand for that. But I have a platform, and I'll say, "Hey man, I was guilty of that at one point in my life." And it hurts people. It hurts yourself. It hurts families. It's all in my family. You look at my grandma and grandpa, those grandparents, and then you look at my grandma and grandpa, and you had all these people together. And then you see my mom and her kids, and then you see dysfunction just throw up over the whole family for some reason. And everyone's having relationships with everyone, and every relationship's failing and falling apart, and then we become products even of that, and it's unfortunate. So, adultery. Not happy, and usually if you're committing adultery, well, you're married, right?
Well, maybe.
And they're married.
Maybe not.
Okay. And so, you're not happy with who you have in your life, for whatever reason. And when that happens, you find yourself not being grateful and taking things for granted. Okay? No, been there, done it, not worth it. And maybe some teenager here this morning is hearing me and they will never, never do that. You'll save yourself a lot of heartache. All right, going back up the ladder. You shall not commit murder. Murder. I remember Jesus like blew this one out of the water when he says, if you just call a man raka or you call him fool, you've committed murder. Right?
Right.
Stinking Muslims.
Amen.
No, I'm serious. And if you say amen, let me tell you something. You walk a fine line as a Christian. I don't care who you are, if it's a Muslim, if they're Buddhist, if they're Hindu, if they're black, they're white, they're Mexican. You say anything wrong about them, and just about them in general as a person, you commit murder. You are committing murder every time you do it. And so, they're there for a reason in life. And maybe the reason that they're there is, maybe we should be the first and foremost when you're reaching out to people, rather than isolating and pushing away and keeping people away from us. I thought we're supposed to be the example to the world. But it sounds to me, at least as I look through social media, Facebook, blah, 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 we are, that's last. We're just sometimes like everybody else when it comes to that. And it's really sad. So, don't commit murder with a gun or with your thoughts, your words. Okay? Otherwise, you might not understand where your part is to play with them in your life. And you might be taking them for granted as well. Because if I know anything, even about Muslims, and you read through Daniel chapter 11, it looks like there's a brilliant side to their faith and who they are, and there's some people that are God's people in there as well. Okay? They've just been taught a certain thing like you have most of your life. All right? So, going backwards still, honor your father and your mother, that your days may be prolonged in the land which the Lord your God gives you. Parents, can I get an amen? That's right, parents, really? Honor your mom and your dad. And you say amen, but then I say back to you parents, did you honor your mom and dad?
No.
Amen. Even the mom and dad who sometimes did things wrong and were inconsistent, weren't there, maybe just did everything wrong. For so long, I really hated my parents. Just hated them for everything that they'd done. And it was hard to get over that. And when I stopped, I just don't even think about that. So hard to honor them. But one day this verse popped in my face and it's like, how am I supposed to honor them? How do you do that? But realizing that, hey, if they weren't there and gave me my experiences that I had, if I didn't have those experiences, I wouldn't be who I am today. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't see life and the things the way that I do, that I might be a help and of service to somebody else. And so although it was unfortunate, okay, I can honor them and be respectful and kind and nice, even if I disagree. Okay? Because they had a part to play. And still do. Alright, so we're going backwards. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, and the sea and all that is in them, and rested on the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. Right?
Right.
Kind of interesting, God made three things kind of holy in life. You know, and usually it's where He's at. People, sanctuary, Sabbath. Right? So, do you take the Sabbath for granted? Stop and think about that for a second. Do we take it for granted? I mean, the day was made for us, right? We're not made for the day. It was made for us. So I'm just curious, what are some ways that you personally, not somebody else, because it's easy to say, oh, I do this or that you might take the Sabbath for granted? You just yourself. So, I'm going to let you share that with the person next to you. Okay? Ready? Oh, wow. Break.